Good morning and welcome to Spotlight, brought to you by the Georgetown NAACP branch number 5520. It is good to see everyone on this beautiful Saturday morning. We've got a lot to talk about the school board special election that's coming up this Tuesday, March 29th. And of course, we always encourage everyone to get out and vote. And we're also going to talk about what's happening with the steel mill in the city of Georgetown. We have a special guest. Well, not she is special guest because of this particular subject, but of course you see her speaking with us all the time regarding what's going on in Georgetown. But we're going to get right to that right after this opening. And remember, of course, drop your questions and comments in the comment section, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook, folks. We always enjoy when you do that. We'll see you in a moment.
Heavenly Father, we ask you to put a hand of protection.
Well, we're back, folks. Every Saturday at 11 a.m., we come to you with Spotlight talking about community happenings, community policies, civil rights, and human rights. And let's go ahead and bring in my co-host, Mr. Marvin Neal, president of the Georgetown branch number 5520. Hey, Marvin.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. It's a little cool this morning. I just turned on my fireplace, so just to get a little warmth.
Yeah, it is cool.
Ebony, you might have to mute because I can hear that you are at a party.
She's on the road.
Yeah. Well, good that she joined us and everything. All right. Let me see. All right. But let's go ahead and get started. Marvin, everybody's trying to hop on and join us. School board special election. It's coming up Tuesday, March 29th. And of course, people can already vote, and they have been voting because of the absentee ballots. Let's go ahead and bring Ebony and Jackie in. We get started with school board first, election, and Marvin's going to just update us with what's going on because we had three. I'm gonna take.
Be good.
We had 3 school board forums across the county. Oh, thank you, Ebony. That's better. Thank you. And what are your thoughts? And we're nonpartisan, and school board actually is nonpartisan in Georgetown. But let's talk about the 3 candidates. John Tester, what's it? Jim DuBose is his first name.
Scott DuBose.
Scott DuBose. And then Catherine, and do you know the young lady's last name?
Catherine Ferdon Anderson.
Catherine Ferdon Anderson. Thank you. All right. Marvin, can you update us on what's going on and why people need to get out to vote?
Well, Ebony, you want to jump in now, or?
Well, I definitely can. Of course, as you know, we had 3 nonpartisan forums for the candidates to come and talk about their platforms to the rural communities, especially Georgetown, Andrews, Choppy areas, had pretty good participation. And I think that probably I need to hold off on saying anything about 2 of the candidates or about any of the candidates right this moment, but it was very informative. People had a lot of questions and concerns. How we did the forums was that we gave everyone postcards as they came into the building, and any questions that they may have for the candidates or all 3, they could write their questions down, and the questions would be asked, and then the candidates would respond. And there was a trending type of concern with the community. One is diversity. Number 2 would be mental health. Number 3, the LGBTQ community, as well as the hiring practices and salary increases for teachers and staff. When I say staff, I mean cafeteria workers, bus drivers, and the whole nine. So I would say that that would be my take on the concerns of the community in regards to selecting a new board member. And I want to just also clarify, this is an election because a school board member had resigned, and so this is, they're only filling in the space until it's time for that seat will be opened up again. When is it? They you can file in August, but you
Right.
can vote on it again. And but please go out and vote for these candidates. I do like one in particular, and she is awesome. Um, so that's what I have to say about that. Thank you.
So it doesn't sound like anyone in the community was particularly concerned about CRT being taught to our students.
I am so sorry, Marilyn. Yes, that was a big one. And I apologize. CRT was a reoccurring question also, but we allowed for candidates to talk about it. But as we know, in South Carolina, CRT is not being taught. So we wanted to know their stance on CRT, and what that means to them coming onto the school board possibly. Good morning, Miss Diane.
All right, very good. So, Jackie, do you have any thoughts? Were you keeping up with that regarding school board?
I think that, well, one of the things that I would encourage people to do, if you were not able to get out to any of the forums that was held, you need to go back and watch them, because they were streamed live on social media, and they are on the NAACP Georgetown branch Facebook page. But I think people really need to watch the forums. If you weren't there, if you don't really know anything about these candidates, you need to go back and you need to watch these forums, so that when you go to vote, you will be better educated on what their positions are as it relates to certain things. Some of what I heard the other night, Thursday night, was very concerning to me. You know, it definitely raised a lot of flags for you know, one or two of the candidates that, you know, that participated. But I think that you know, I think that people need to be educated and they need to be informed. And the only way that you're going to be educated and informed, especially with this vote so close on the 29th, you need to do your research. And so we certainly need to applaud the NAACP for hosting all of the forums that they did. I know Andrews was very, very happy because they're often left out of so many things. And for them to be able to have that forum in their community, I know was really big for them. But if you were not there, the only thing I could really say, because I'm still in shock at some of the stuff that I heard, watch the footage. It's there. Do not go in and vote blindly, because some of the ideology would never be good for the school system in Georgetown or anywhere else. But if you don't know about these candidates, you're going to go in and you're going to vote without having the knowledge that you need to be informed the way that you should be informed, the way that we all should be informed before we cast our ballots. And, you know, with this, how this board affects the school district and the children, it is certainly worth the time to just take a few minutes and sit down and listen to them. That's really the best thing I could say, Marilyn, because I'm still shocked at some of what I heard. And I don't want to try to sway anybody's opinion. So the best thing that I could say is the footage is there. Watch it before you go to cast your vote.
You're muted, Marilyn.
Thank you, Jackie, for your words. The host muted herself. I was doing something and didn't want to make noise.
So you don't want to hear you.
Veronica, thank you for coming on. Yeah, so thank you, Jackie, for those words. I did attend one of the forums and unfortunately could not attend the other two, but did watch some online. And I agree with you that some of the opinions expressed are very concerning, but this also shows that we need to be informed citizens. So once again, to the NAACP, I agree with you. These are the type of forums we need to do, and we're doing the work that we've been charged with and hosting these forums and letting folks have their questions answered. I do want to say two of my concerns are when you look at the totality of the school board, are we geographically represented on the school board? And this election will actually give the majority in the West on the Waccamaw Neck. And we would hope that people are balanced and take into consideration of the entire county. But to guarantee that, you really need to looking at the geographic balance of the entire board, and that should be considered in everyone's decision and who they decide to vote for. And then also who really cares about your children and the parental situation in spite of what billboards may say. Because I certainly I'm not a parent, but I am a stakeholder in this community, as a business owner and as an adult. And I know parents who have children in the school district. And I don't recall seeing the survey that went around asking parents their opinion. And then this one person could run around and say, I represent the parents. If you are a parent, then you have the opportunity to go to PTO meetings. You have the opportunity to go to school board meetings and have your voice heard directly. And you have the opportunity to talk to school board members directly, because once they become elected on that board, you could reach out to them and talk to them directly, because that is part of being a public servant. So I don't get anyone who runs saying I'm the voice of the parents, because I don't remember that survey going around. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I do know who I'm going to vote for. I'm comfortable with my vote for her, and we'll see what happens. Marvin?
Well, yeah. First, I'd like to thank the political action chair and the chair of the schools committee, Ebony and John DeRay, who really put together, a fabulous forum and stuff, and the NAACP for the support that they have given throughout this whole process. The Delta Sigma Theta, thank you for their support also, and their continued support in the work that we do with the NAACP and the other sororities and fraternities. There was a concern, Maryland, that's been established in 1997 by the Department of Justice. And that concern still lives true today. And that the question keeps coming up about hiring practices and nepotism. And it's interesting that people that's running for these school board seats and on school board, the great concern came out in the meeting about their children serving in the school district, and they making decisions for their children in practices, teaching, direct positions and stuff of that nature. You know, that's a huge concern of people, and it should be a huge concern, because as we noticed, the past superintendent, his son was put in positions. I mean, put in positions, not hired into positions, because he didn't qualify, number one. And based on his resume and his background, he did not qualify. And he still do not qualify. You know, he qualified, they you know, when someone's serving in a direct position without even a certification, you know, and he might be certified now, but when he got hired into it, it was wrong. And ethics violation was filed, which was proven. He was fined for it. So it looks as though we might be walking into the same ship if we're not careful. That's why it's so important to go back and look at these people that's running. You know, we have one running as a businessman. You know, we know Donald Trump was a businessman too, and look where we are today. Okay. So, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, but people can figure that out for themselves. You know, we had, you know, we got a teacher running, you know, and one of our greatest concerns was teacher salary, getting paid, and retention of teachers, and having a real voice for the children and the parent. And these, and you know, it's just so much great concerns when it comes down to the teacher's voice, cafeteria workers, which can't speak because, you know, because of the at-will state, and we'll get to that second half of the show. You know, the bus drivers, they can't speak, all is being scrutinized, you know, but when the bus stopped running, the schools do not open. Children can't get there, you know. Then you have the janitors. If they shut down, then no sanitation or anything can be conducted. So the schools have to shut down again. We had staff sanitizing schools because a couple of bus drivers couldn't, a couple of janitors couldn't make it to the school right within this school year. So these people are only critical when time to do the work, but when time for salaries to be dished out and budget to be put in place, you know, is all of a sudden they just don't show up in the budget. And we had people running on that platform. They will make sure teachers, custodians, bus drivers, and cafeteria workers are paid, you know, a livable wage. You have people that can't even afford affordable housing because the wages are so low. You know, $11 an hour, some just getting to $12 an hour, you know, after 15 years of driving. You know, it just don't make any sense whatsoever. Right. It's nonsense, actually. Then you're talking about, you know, the choice vouchers, you know, which only leads to privatizing. And privatizing schools is something we definitely do not support, the NAACP. Because what that does, you could take $5,000 and give it to a parent, you know, to make a school of their choice. But that do not fit the population of minority and the disenfranchised. Because what happens there, now you have to pay for gas to take them there. Okay? So if you're disenfranchised, how are you going to do that? Okay? You can't ride the bus there because it's a private school. Private school cannot use taxpayers' dollars, okay, for maintenance and building structures. So how does this work? That's why you see a lot of private schools doors open 1 year or a certain amount of years and close because the maintenance shut down. They need building repairs and stuff of that nature. There's no consistency there. So that don't work for those on the west side of the bridge of Waccamaw. I'll put it like that because the livable wage is totally different. You talk about a $24,000 median income on this side of the bridge and a $50,000 median income on the other side of the bridge, you know, across the county when you put in the Waccamaw. But the median income is even higher than that when you break it down. So we have to be so careful. And you're looking at 5 school board members, the potential for 5 school board members with this election to be on that side of the river. So it's a lot we have to look at. You're also looking at, you know, the hiring practices. Still today, lawsuits right now, still in place in Georgetown County School District because of hiring practices. You know, blacks know the job, could do the job, but there's always some means for them, they did not interview well. If you sit in a corporation long enough, does your evaluation and does your performance speak for anything? Many people can't interview, but can they do the job? We had people that interviewed real well. You could study the test and pass it, and you could interview really well. And we have seen that, you know, and people are put in place to stop people from getting hired in the interview process. They are put there for that purpose, and that's been proven. Okay, so we have to be so careful, how we just say, well, we have a black face on the interview team. That don't mean anything to us. Clarence Thomas is black. What does that mean to us? Let's talk about these things. We have to be careful what we do here, because our people is not being treated fairly. Black and brown people are just not being taken care of. And we're going to continue to push for whatever's necessary, lawsuits or whatever, to make sure we're going to stay on top of our game. The superintendent said he's trying to clean things up, and I pray that he continues to try. And I don't knock that, because we've seen some improvement. We've seen some massive improvement. And we've had conversation. We're going to continue to have conversation. But one thing we cannot do, Marilyn, is continue to watch what happens and sit back and say, this is not a problem. We have to call it what it is. The African American history, pretty much Scott DuBose wanted to say it. He couldn't say it. And I'm going to say he wanted to say it. African American history is what he really wants to talk about, not being taught in the school system. CRT is what they want to call it at the college level, but African American history is part of American history. Whether it was slave, they don't want to talk about the enslaved people. All that's a part of history. And teaching young white kids and black kids and Jewish kids and Hispanic kids, they all need to be taught the true history of America, because you can't fix nothing until you tell your story, the bottom line. And they need to know the story early on before they be implanted with the racist division that's going on, attacking these children right now. Children will come together as long as we keep these racist adults out of the picture. Let them talk about their history. Teachers are there to talk about the differences. That's their job. Parents trying to tell their children don't read history book and stuff of that nature. That's crazy. Or take it out of the school. Just don't put the enslaved part of African American history in there. Don't put the 1619 Project in there. So what do we put in there? If you put the truth in there, you're still talking about, who designed the first aircraft? A black woman. They should know that. Who enslaved people? White people. They should not know that. How do you bring the differences together and tell your child that was wrong, so let's not do this again? How do you tell your child, a black child, Jewish child, Hispanic child, Asian child have the same rights as you do? How do you tell them that? Until you teach the history and tell them the difference in what happened during that time. How do you tell them in Georgetown that the rice crop did not save America? How do you tell them that? Every county should have their history a part of that district if they're sitting in there. And I must say, Mr. Price have entertained it. He has supported it. I mean, tremendously. We thank him to the utmost, and it's necessary. It is so necessary. Those are concerns, the mental health concerns. We create positions, $50,000+ a year, but I haven't heard them talk about creating more mental health positions. And that's what we really need to support coming out of this pandemic and beyond. We got children in the adult centers, like the school to prison pipeline now over there at the Howard Adult Center. That's something they have to work on, So it's a lot of things we need to be truthful on, and a lot of things we need to go back and look at the platform of these three candidates and know how to vote. Don't worry about the blackface on flyers and all this other stuff. That's all that stuff is irrelevant. And I'm saying that. Don't worry about that. If that's the person you want to vote for, vote for. The businessman, if you want a businessman, vote for your businessman. If you want a teacher to serve, vote for the teacher to serve. But you vote for the person that's going to help move your children, your parent, the low-income workers, help move them forward. Because that's what it's all about. We don't need people going on there to promote and support and cover their children in the school district and bringing more of their children and families in the school district and say, it's not nepotism. It is nepotism. Policy don't change nepotism. Policy just opened the door for it to happen. It's how we write the policy. So we have to be careful how we say, well, it's not nepotism because the policy said. It don't work that way.
So we want to remind
brief synopsis, Marilyn.
So we want to remind everyone. Ooh, where'd Jackie go?
And another thing, Marilyn. Go ahead, Marilyn.
We want to remind everyone to vote this Tuesday, March 29th. The polls open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And these are all the polls across the county of Georgetown. This is a special election, but all of the polls will be open for you to go vote. If you can't vote on Tuesday and want to vote before Tuesday, you still have Monday to go to the election commission on North Hazard Street, and you can vote in person at the election commission until 5 o'clock or 4:30 that afternoon. So if you can't do it Tuesday, please come and show up on Monday at the special election commission on North Hazard Street. All right. Let me go see if Jackie, you there? Hello, Jackie. Oh, we lost her. Let me put it here. So our next topic, if Jackie could get in, we want to talk about what's going on with the steel mill. She's going to get.
Well, let me clear one more thing up before we go there. We had a conversation.
I don't know what happened, but but I disappeared. But we're back.
A conversation with, hold on, Jackie. Let me finish
in reference to
Jackie,
Liberty Steel.
Jackie,
is that what?
1 minute.
Oh.
Hold on, Jackie.
Okay.
Go ahead, Marvin.
I just need to clear up one last point on this candidate's run here, because there was a conversation with myself and Scott DuBose with Gab News, and he made a statement that Dr. Celestine Pringle, the late Dr. Celestine Pringle, a principal of a black school in Chapee doing segregation, convinced him to run for the school board, and stated that if she endorsed him, that's what he stated at the last meeting. You know, he sent me an email to challenge my statement that she would never endorse choice school and private school. And the email stated, you know, Dr. Pringle responds to his email. She did respond to him, but the response said, "Impressed. I will call you tomorrow." That's the extent of the response. But he's still putting this thing out there that Dr. Pringle endorsed him. Dr. Pringle would never endorse a choice school or private school. When she went to a school that had to share a textbook because of the situation with choice and private. So we just want to make sure that's clear, because Scott DuBose, he promised me that I either have to eat breakfast or something with him, or he gonna send it out to the public. Well, it's out to the public because I gave it to the Coastal Observer anyhow. I tell him, take that email and do what you want to do with it. It don't matter to me, because Dr. Pringle will never endorse that, and that makes him a liar. Okay, and I'm putting it out there right now, because he is talking with someone that I knew personally, and he don't know. He shows up trying to use the face, and we have seen that in the past election, faces on flyers and stuff, trying to get this impression that black people, that they support this notion of racism that's going on here, and these privatizing and stuff and gentrification stuff. No, Dr. Pringle would never endorse a privatizing schools and using taxpayers' dollars to do it. That's a lie that he told, and he's still lying. And if Dr. Pringle would answer today, she would say he's a liar, because that's her tone. Now, let's get back to the business at hand. Thank you very much. Scott DuBose lied again. Thank you. Go ahead, Jackie.
Thank you, Marvin. Jackie, please update us. What's going on with the steel mill, and what do we need to do? You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, as far as the mill is concerned, we had a meeting the other day with some folks from the community, some of the officers from the United Steelworkers, of course, their president, President James Sanderson, and basically what we are trying to do is to galvanize the community, to spread the word, to ask people to please come out to this very, very important zoning appeals meeting. I'm having some sinus issues, so if my eyes look cloudy and what have you, I need to take some sinus medicine. But this is a very serious issue. There have been some articles that have surfaced in different news outlets, comments that have been made, that's just so unbecoming, you know, of folks in this community. If we're truly striving to try to coexist together and everyone be fruitful and prosper. So we understand that there is a disconnect. We understand what is at stake. We understand what's on the table, what is on the line. Mr. Sanderson, along with the other officers from Liberty Steel, from the United Steelworkers, and those from Liberty Steel that are the attorneys and those that are working on this particular situation, are serious about trying to make sure that the community turns out, shows up on April the 6th at 6 p.m. right at the municipal building, 2222 High Market Street. We really need you to be there. Really, really, really need you to come, to be there, because this meeting is very, very important. Basically, this appeals meeting is to hear the arguments in reference to the non-compliance letter that was submitted by Mr. Christopher Iglesias, whom at the time had already been employed in Newberry County and for some reason was still working here in Georgetown under contract, and did a non-compliance letter for the mill. So this is the first stage of the process, the legal process that the mill has to go through in order to resolve this issue. Now, we're hoping that we could resolve it at this particular level, not have to go any further. But they are posturing themselves that if they have to take it to the next level, which would be to the courts, that is what they will do. You know, people keep saying, well, when are they going to bring other people on? When are they going to bring other people on? And I keep saying they have 65 people that's currently employed and working at the mill now. But I would rather have 65 people at that steel mill making a good salary, able to take care of their families, have great benefits, have a good retirement, than to have 150 jobs in Georgetown, all making minimum wage, just putting people back into a perpetual state of just struggle and not being able to make the ends meet. I'm not impressed with the number of jobs anybody could bring to this community. You could bring 300 jobs here and they'd be 300 bad jobs. But what I am impressed with is when we can strike a balance and offer something to the citizens of Georgetown and the surrounding areas where they could at least make a decent and a living and a livable wage and be able to support their family and not have to kill themselves to try to do it by working 3 and 4 jobs. So please come out April the 6th. We really need your support. 6 p.m. for the zoning appeal hearing for Liberty Steel.
Is this going to be at the municipal court, Jackie, on High Market Street?
Yes.
Okay.
At the municipal court. Yeah, on 6 p.m. I think what's interesting, Marilyn, I just want to point this out real quick. I think what is very interesting and what we need to be making some noise about is that the chairwoman for this board is also the wife to one of the city councilmen, which is a clear conflict of interest. And she should not be able to vote. If Mr. Morant could not vote and had to recuse himself when we were battling for affordable housing because his wife was on the board at the hospital, certainly that same rule should apply in this particular situation. Now, I am told that there are some other folks that's on city council that have relatives on this zoning appeals board. And if that is the case, they should not be able to vote. That is a clear ethics violation. And that is why we have to show up, because if we don't show up, things like this would happen and we would not be there to give voice to it. And if people think that they could get away with something, they will definitely try.
That's so true, Jackie. My concern, one of my concerns in this matter, and I encourage everyone to get out April 6th to show that the community is concerned and the community wants good living wage jobs. All right. My concern is you have a party out here talking about government shouldn't interfere with anything, shouldn't interfere with job creation. But as soon as this party gets into office in Georgetown, they have a majority. One of the first things they do is try to destroy middle-class jobs. So
exactly
the hypocrisy of it, because you may want some hotels and retail shops that have few employees and usually they're at minimum wage, and minimum wage is $7.25 as opposed to living wage jobs, making double figures per hour. It goes to show the hypocrisy of their stance and that they're willing to use government for what they want, but you're not willing to use government for all the people. You're against government when it's for raising the minimum wage. You're against government when it benefits people who need help, because that's what government is for. Government is to provide services for the people based on the taxes that we pay, whether they're sales taxes or fees or property tax. We all pay taxes. Don't ever let anybody lie to you that people don't pay taxes. Everybody pays taxes. It's just different types of taxes.
Exactly.
And use government to prevent a company from providing middle-class jobs is the epitome of hypocrisy, and it's just bad ethics. It's just bad ethics, and people really need to think about that. Are you going to run government for the people or run government just for people you like and who agree with you? It doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. And it's just the height of hypocrisy. And folks need to get out and get educated and informed and show that we need to be talking middle-class jobs, not minimum wage jobs. And that's my thought on that also. I know we both have to go. I have to go, y'all. So Marvin, anything you want to say regarding the steel mill and getting people out on April 6th and wrapping this up?
Yeah, we need, first of all, when we vote for candidates for city council, we need to make sure we're voting for true Democrats, if that's what you're voting for. You need to, whoever votes for Republican, I guess you need to do the same thing. But we don't need anyone straddling the fence when it comes down to dealing with the disenfranchised and low-income families in Georgetown. Hotel jobs pay what Jackie? I'm trying to figure out, they're not even at the minimum wage. Unless they might make the minimum wage if you're a supervisor, you might be making $15 an hour. That's the supervisor. Everybody else is below that. And if you go check in the hotels in Georgetown, you talk to the maids, and you talk to the cleaning crew and all these folks, the kitchen folks, they're not making not even minimum wage when it comes to livable wage. The steel mill pays livable wage, and they have been doing that for a long time. You have people that served on the city council that worked at the steel mill, and they didn't get to where they are in college and everything else off a hotel salary. It was steel mill salary. You know, the steel mill really was the base and the paper mill is for the majority of jobs and livable wage for blacks in Georgetown County and whites, because Georgetown was an industrial strip. When you look at the mill closing, the appeals board, we also have to look at who appoint who to that appeals board. That needs to be checked out. You know, because when family members are serving, immediate family members are serving on the appeals board, the board that's going to make a decision for what they want, that is definitely an ethics violation. And we need to start going back to what we have to do with redistricting and bringing some other folks, you know, because not just the FL-CIO. We'll be talking about that afterwards. You know, the why shouldn't they bring in more people right now? That's almost a mute question. When you are under legality, it's not even business sense to bring in more people until things are resolved. That's just business sense. You know, bringing in more people right now and they decide to vote against it the next week. What have you done? You have disrupted family that might have been working other jobs already. So we have to make sure we be careful with that. And that's just common sense. You know, and another thing, we have to find other ways to deal with the budget of Georgetown other than raising taxes and raising the electrical bill on those that lives within the city of Georgetown. Because what that does, you're dealing with families that have right back again to the disenfranchised, low-income community that have issues with weatherization and everything else. When you raise the electrical bill, all you did was just put them in another condition, which I think is the intent. That's the intent. What that does is help gentrify the west end of Georgetown, what the whole intent is all about. Bringing in these folks that has nothing to do with Georgetown, the foundation of Georgetown, to push people out of Georgetown. That's what we are working with. Folks that went to the city, got paid from all these high union jobs, because most of them that made money in the city, most of them are union jobs that they're coming back with those salaries, those retirement salaries, and come and live comfortable in Georgetown right now. And we can't even do it in Georgetown because of the work state, which only thing means is right to fire black people at will. That's all it's designed for after the Emancipation Proclamation. You know, so we have to be so careful. We have to get out on April 6th and beyond, not just April 6th, every city council meeting. Your presence needs to be there. Because if you're not there, it gives consent. Silence gives consent. And leaders and community activists in Georgetown, they need to open their mouth and quit sitting silent. Black and white, they need to open their mouth. Because they're going to be fighting from the rear again if they're not careful.
All right. Marvin, thank you very much for those words. Jackie, anything else? Close it out. Let's remind everybody to be at the Board of Zoning Appeals April 6th. It's at the Municipal Courthouse on High Market Street. You know, the police station.
Yes.
The police station. But you ain't going to the police station. You're going to the court.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. They all right, but we ain't going there. All right. And of course, the track and field naming ceremony. When's that happening, Marvin?
April 23rd.
April 23rd. Antoine Maybank.
Antoine Maybanks.
Yeah, we're going to name the track field after him. And everyone, y'all come on out. Save the date, April 23rd, and come on out to the track field next to Beck and enjoy the festivities. We're looking forward to that. So we can honor our hometown Olympic hero, gold medal winner
The
on
only one.
April 23rd.
The only one in Georgetown. One of
But
three.
we might have
South
another one
Carolina.
in a few years since we have Miss Melissa Jefferson, who
Hey.
national champion.
Well, she will
Yes,
be at the meet and greet. She will be there
NCAA.
also. She said she will be there.
60-meter
We recognize
indoor
her also. Melissa
champion.
Jefferson and Tyrell Richards. He will be there. So these are people that just shattered records leading up to the Olympic. Hope we see both of them in the next Olympic.
That's right.
You know,
That's right. They're on the way. We're very.
And I have to say, Marilyn, that they are students of Carvers Bay, of course. You know, I just have to say that. You know, so.
Very good. Yeah, Carvers Bay Bears.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was librarian there also for a year. She was substitute librarian, so I can claim Carvers Bay too. Jackie, thank you very much for coming on and letting us know what's going on with the steel mill, the update. We'll be seeing you later. Marvin, thank you very much. We'll be seeing you later. I'm heading out myself. Got a lot to do. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We'll be back next Saturday at 11 a.m. on Spotlight, bringing you the civil rights, human rights, and community happenings of Georgetown, South Carolina. Good night, everybody.
Good night.